Hey everybody, it's Chris here from Audio Technology Magazine. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of the new Korg SoundLink console. Korg doesn't do mixers, right? Well, actually, that's not true. This is not the first Korg mixer, but it's definitely the best in my opinion. Actually, I like to think of it as a Greg Mackey console, realised by Korg. You get the feeling this mixing console is Greg Mackey's fantasy compact console, the most he could possibly squeeze into a 19-inch form factor. It's just chock full of features. I'm very impressed. I've gone from what, seriously, a Korg mixer, to wow, this is an amazing analog mixer. Korg calls it a hybrid mixer, but it's effectively an analog mixer with a digital effects and processing section, which isn't that unique. There are some real standout I didn't expect that moments on this console. There's a one knob compressor on every mono channel, an amazing little monitor section for dialing up a super quick headphone mix. There's feedback suppression. There are assignable mute groups. It's a true 8-bus console with 8 individual outputs. It's a whole lot of console for under $2,500 Australian, and there's a 16-channel version going for under $2,000 Australian. As you can see, there are 2 banks of 8 channels. You've got 8 mono channels and a bank of 8 stereo channels, 16 mic inputs all up. There are an impressive 22 faders on this console. The 16-channel faders, 4 stereo subgroup faders, the very welcome effects return fader, and of course the master fader. Let's take a look at the mono channel strip from the top. We have the Peter Watts designed mic preamp gain control. Peter's well known for his work on the Trident consoles of the 80s. His preamp design uses a 16.5 volt rail. The preamp is clean, it's powerful, and has a lot of headroom. Also of note is the one knob compressor with associated LED to let you know when the compressor is actually attenuating the signal. The EQ is 3-band with swept mid. There are 4 auxes. Aux 3 and 4 can be switched pre and post. You've got a 5th auxiliary send that's dedicated to the onboard effects. Then of course there's pan and mute with its red LED. The Alps fader is smooth, and then you've got the routing buttons for the 4 stereo buses and the mix bus. Finally there's the PFL button. The digital section of the Korg SoundLink is really quite impressive, even if the LCD isn't, which is rudimentary but clear. The screen status overview tells me here that on the main output I have a gate, and on aux 1 I have a limiter, on aux 2 I have a limiter, I have a wide graphic EQ on the left-right bus. I have the same on aux 1 and aux 2. I also have a feedback suppressor which is working, and this tells me here that the Korg SDD 3000 delay is active in my effects section. There are 9 small buttons across the bottom of the LCD to access parameters. Why 9 buttons? Well, because the wide graphic EQ has 9 bands, so there's 1 button per band. There are a couple of features in the digital section that you wouldn't normally expect on a console like this. The first is the spectrum analyzer, which is really useful. The other amazing feature in this section is some tone generators, including noise, swept noise, a 1K tone, sub-bass. It's hugely useful for setting up and tuning a PA. There are a couple of really cool features here, including a more me-style monitoring mix feature. It allows you to set up a musician's mix super easily by injecting the whole mix into either send 3 or 4 and then dialing more of that muso into taste on a per channel basis. Another feature that you wouldn't find on other compact mixes here are the 4 mute groups. To assign channels to the mute groups is easy as pressing the mute group button down and then pressing the channel you want to include. Easy. Another little feature that I really like on this console is the mute everything break button, which is the panic button we all wish we had at one time in our mixing lives. Let's take a quick tour of the back panel of the Korg SoundLink. There are 16 mic inputs and line inputs on every channel, but bear in mind there aren't any channel inserts. The aux outputs are on XLR, headphone outputs on aux 3 and 4. There are 8 group outputs, which is a great feature. The main outputs are on XLR and jack, and there's additional monitor outputs. There's a lot of flexibility here for installation, churches, touring or rehearsal rooms. The USB port is for an additional stereo input. You can't make the console act like a giant sound card like you might a digital console. There's global 48 volt phantom power, a foot switch jack for managing the effects, a talkback microphone input, and a beefy internal PSU. SoundLink is arguably the best weekend warrior console out there. Great for pubs, great for small bands, great for rehearsal rooms, great for churches, small theatres. It's a stupidly great volunteer-friendly mixer. If you need whole console automation, this is not the mixer for you, obviously. But put this mixer in a situation where you don't know what to expect. You don't know which band you're getting. You don't know what instruments are turning up on the day. This is possibly the best compact mixing console on the market at the moment.